Mr. Speaker, it is disgusting. The NDP Liberals have not learned their lesson. They continue on this dangerous crusade to shut down Canada's oil and gas sector, something that is not only economically disastrous, but is dangerous for our world and bad for the environment, and puts my constituents as well as oil and gas workers from every province in the country out of work. Will this minister put an end to his activism and let Canada's oil and gas workers deliver the energy that this world needs?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, when we're talking about transition, we're not only talking about the future of the industry and sustainable jobs, we're talking about economic opportunities for communities across our country. Those enormous economic opportunities will be enabled through the transition to a low-carbon future. Those opportunities will vary by region. They are particularly in Alberta, and it will be based on local economies and geography. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, in August, Germany's leaders came to Canada begging us to help offset their dependence on Russian gas. Our Prime Minister replied, "There is no business case for Canadian LNG." Au contraire, refuted Canada's actual business leaders. The opportunity for tens of thousands of Canadian jobs is quite clear. With the world demanding Canadian energy, why is this Prime Minister berating Canada's clear opportunity?
Great.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, Canada is committed to tackling the concurrent crises of global energy security and climate change, but we will do so in a manner that accounts for and works to minimize domestic emissions, and do so in a manner that ensures any resulting emissions fit within Canada's climate plan. LNG is one of the tools in our toolbox, and our government is committed to supporting the development of the LNG sector. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Centre.
Well, that doesn't seem quite true. Coal experts from Russia have reached peak levels. China has also reached peak levels and gone up 300 million tons of coal production this year. Europe is cranking up coal plants. Why? Because the LNG that Canada could have supplied has been held up by this government's policies. Canadian LNG has a carbon footprint half that of the coal that's ramping up around the world. When will this government get out of the way and provide the planet with the carbon emission fuel we need to decarbonize?
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, I find it a bit rich to hear the member opposite talk about foreign oil imports. There was twice as more foreign oil imports under their leadership than today. So when they say they have the back of energy workers, the question is, which energy workers, Mr. Speaker? Saudi Arabia energy workers, Russian energy workers, or Canadian energy workers? Because under our leadership, oil exports have gone down by 50%, Mr. Speaker, and imports in investment in renewable energy and clean technologies have doubled since 2015. I think we have no lessons to receive from the member opposite on energy, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, this ideologically driven minister wants to leave our natural resources in the ground, and instead they want to mine Canadian workers' paychecks. I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, the last thing Canadian workers need is more inflationary taxation. Will these Liberals get out of the way of our hardworking oil and gas workers, and instead, will they do the right thing? Will they supply the world with clean and ethical Canadian energy?
The Honourable Minister of Environment.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to quote an extract from an article that the new Director of Communications for the Conservative Party of Canada said, and he said, instead of scoring cheap political points on Trudeau's carbon tax, Conservatives need to get serious and offer their own alternative. I agree with the new Director of Communications for the Conservative Party of Canada, Mr. Speaker.
I know we can't use members' names in the area. Just a reminder that we can't use names. Prime Minister, honourable ministers, those kinds of things.